Alright, so here we're going to learn a little bit about how to use the online version of Microsoft PowerPoint. And one thing you need to remember is that to my knowledge, there is no actual textbook available anywhere, nor is there any actual curriculum designed specifically toward using the online version of PowerPoint. So the book that I'm looking out of, the workbook that I'm getting this lesson from, it's actually designed to be completed on the desktop version of PowerPoint, and so as I'm working on this, I may come across and find out that certain things that they're telling me to do cannot be done because we're using the online version, and that's perfectly okay. We'll make do with what we've got, but let's just go ahead and get started with this activity. And first of all, when you sign in to your Office account over here on the left hand side, you're going to see the orange icon with the P on here, and that's your PowerPoint. And PowerPoint is like Google Slides, which you may be used to. Now, generally, PowerPoint, again, the desktop version is going to be better than this online version, and generally Microsoft products are going to be better than Google products. So again, if you were to take this at the high school level, PowerPoint is part of the certification class for Word, and there is a certification for it. So anyway, let's just go ahead and continue. And when you sign in, and it's going to take you to this screen, and it's going to show you some themes that are built in to PowerPoint. And because I have used this a little bit previously, I see some files that I have had open recently, and we just want to start a new blank presentation. So if you'll click New Blank Presentation. And by the way, as we get started with this, I will take the text from this and I'll actually print this out into a PDF. That way you'll see, you'll have all of the text available to you that you can open up in a separate document. Of course, you wouldn't be able to see any animations or transitions that we add to this document. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do, this is actually taking us to a title slide layout. Now with PowerPoint, whether it be the online version or whether it be the desktop version, when you open up PowerPoint, by default you're probably going to get a title slide layout, and this is what a title slide layout looks like by default. You see two boxes on here. One of them is for the title of the presentation, and then down here is the subtitle, as you can see, because of the placeholders. Now these boxes that you see on here are called placeholders, and this will give you a visual representation of where this text is going to go on the slide. And by the way, I didn't mention it yet, but PowerPoint, the purpose of PowerPoint is if you need to give a presentation to an audience, whether it be live and in person, or maybe it could be a presentation that is being viewed by someone at their own pace or in their own place, that's the purpose of PowerPoint. Okay, and PowerPoint can be set up to loop over and over. And again, we'll talk more about that later. But anyway, so here what we're going to do is we're going to use this standard on the slide 1 here. We actually want to change this. We don't want to use a title slide layout. We want to actually change this. So if you go under the Home tab, and then over here's your layout button in the online version. So if you'll click that, you're going to have different layouts available to you. And we're going to change this to title and content. So if you'll click title and content, and what that will do is that will give you, when you click change layout down here, that'll give you the opportunity to type the name or the title of the slide up here, and then below it will allow you to put in your the text that you want in there. So what we're going to do is up here in this heading box, I want you to type in all caps. So you'll need to hit your caps lock key on your keyboard, and you'll need to type in the words "Look what's new followed by an exclamation mark. Okay, and then the next thing that you can do is we want you to center this equally between the left and right margins or the edges of this text box or this placeholder. So what you'll need to do is come over here under this button right here, your text alignment, and then right here, this is your center button. So if you'll click that, and then the next thing you'll want to do is to come down here and click in this button or in this field. Alright, now here's the thing. When you come down here to this field, by default in PowerPoint, you get a bullet view, meaning the information that you are going to post is going to be in bullet formats. And you got to understand, when you are creating a presentation, if you're planning on presenting this presentation live and in person, you want to include the main points or pieces of information that will help guide you as you speak to your audience. So here, what we want to do is, it kind of looks like this presentation is being set up so that it'll loop over and over, as if you were just going to have this on a maybe on a television that just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, so that way you're always seeing some information. So we'll deal with that later on. Now, if that's the case, you would not need bullets. So what you would want to do is you would want to come up here under your bullet library button and click that to turn off those bullets. But then the next thing that you would want to do is, again, you would want to come over here and click Align Center. And then you would want to type in the text, and you have to make sure you turn your caps lock off, but you want to type in, try one of our featured items, and then just hit enter on your keyboard and then type in and. Now, by the way, you'll notice when I hit enter and then I typed in the word and, it automatically capitalized the first word of this paragraph. Now, technically, every time you hit enter, it's a new paragraph. We'll take a look at how to turn this feature off here shortly. And let's see here. Actually, let's do this a little bit different then. If it's going to be difficult like this, I'm just going to type it all together. Then we'll look at a different way to manipulate this text. And we'll pay for your drink and a delicious homemade cookie. Okay, so again, I'm looking at this in this workbook, and I'm going to try to make this fit and look as much like it's supposed to look as possible. And I'm going to show you, other ways that you can go about manipulating this to make it happen. So what we want to do is this text box down here, we don't want it spread out like this. We want this text that's right here, we want it to be more condensed so it goes straight down. So what you can do is you can take this fill handle and you can drag it inward, and notice how as I drag this inward, that text box or that placeholder gets smaller, and then this text begins to wrapping down, and we want to make it so that this is on four lines of text, and hopefully we want it. Let's see how this okay, so this looks pretty good, and this does not match up 100% to the workbook that I'm looking at, and that's perfectly okay. But basically, you get the idea of how you can resize this text box, and as the box gets smaller, then the text will wrap down automatically. So then what we can do is we can drag this entire text box over to the center. So what we want to do is to take the mouse and move it on top of the box until you get this four-pointed cross that you see here. And then you want to take your mouse and click and hold and drag and move it over toward the center until you see that red line pop up. And when you see this red dotted line open up, that indicates that these two text boxes are on center with each other. So then you can let go of it, and as I'm looking at the particular text box, the example I'm looking at in my workbook, this looks pretty much the way that it was intended. Now there's one other thing that we want to do, and again, this may be one of those deals where we start doing it, then I find out we can't do it because it's the online version. We want to change the line spacing of this from single to double. We want this text to be more spread out vertically, so we would need to come back here and select it with our mouse. And let's see here, that's the alignment. And let's see here, because I don't know, I'm going to come up here and type in, tell me what you want to do in this field. And I want to type in line spacing. And okay, so there's line spacing. So if I click on that, then what I can do is change this line spacing to 2.0. And again, that line spacing button, it's on here somewhere. Matter of fact, it's over here under more paragraph options. But again, if it's something that you don't know where it's at, you could just go up there and type open and type in the tell me what you want to do field and do it like that. So that's all we want to do for this first slide. So now we're ready to enter a second slide. So what we want to do is to come over here, still under the Home tab, and we want to click this new slide button, and it's going to ask us, well, what layout do you want? Well, we want the layout that's got two content. It's going to have a title and two content. So let's select this and then click Add Slide, and now we're ready to put in a second slide of information. So the next thing we want to do is to come up to this title box. And again, we want to turn on our caps lock, and we want to type in crazy chopped salad. And again, we want to come over here under the text alignment button and click that and align this in the center. And what we want to do is, down here we've got two content boxes that can contain multiple things, including a table or a smart art graphic, and I'm not even sure what that icon is in the online version, but then here we got, looks like a video or a picture or maybe a web video. And again, you know, in the desktop version, you would be able to roll over these and you would see a screen tip open up that would tell you exactly what this button is for. Now over here on this one, we want to put in a graphic image, okay? So what we're going to do, actually, before we do that, let's come over here to this field. We just want to type some text into this field. And we want to, again, we want to turn off the bullets because we're not actually using bulleted items in here. So what we want to do is to type in inspired, and you may need to turn your caps lock off, inspired classic chopped salad that has finely chopped artichoke hearts, roasted corn, garbanzo beans, diced tomato, cucumber, and fresh basil. Toss in a homemade vinaigrette dressing. Price is $5.50. And I may have misspelled vinaigrette, and I get the red squiggly line underneath that, and you got to remember what the red squiggly line means. It doesn't mean that the word necessarily is misspelled. It means that this word is not recognized by the dictionary that's built into PowerPoint. Same thing with Word. So what I want to do is I can right click on this, and I can go up to spelling, and it gives me it offers up a possible correct spelling, vinaigrette, and yes, that's the correct spelling that we want, so I'm able to change it just like that. Alright, so the next thing that we want to do is over here on this one, we want to put in an image of a chopped salad. So this workbook doesn't come with an image. You're going to have to actually go look for one. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a browser, and I'm actually going to open up Google Chrome as my browser, because you're probably doing this on a Chromebook, and if you're doing this on a Chromebook, I want this to look as much like what you're looking for. So I want to type in chopped salad images, and really you can pick any of these, it doesn't matter which one, but we're going to pick, I'll just pick this one right here. And you're going to have to download it. And again, I'm using Google Chrome, so you would probably get something like what I'm doing. Actually, let me try this one instead, because I think I see some, maybe those are garbanzo beans. Anyway, that's not the point. We just need an image, and it really doesn't matter which one. So what we're going to do is, if you're doing this on a Chromebook, you're going to have to get an image, and this is the part where I can't help you too much. You're going to have to save this image, or maybe you could copy the image. So right here, I'm going to see if it'll let me do it like this. I want to right click this and go to copy image on top of this picture over here, and I want to see if it'll let me paste it in here. So I want to right click and go to paste, and then there's my image. So again, you know, there's a couple different ways that you can do this, and again, with the Chromebooks, I don't know exactly how you would save that file or get it in there another manner, but you know, if this way will work for you, then that's what you need to do. Okay, so they also say that you should resize the image. Now, you know, if whatever image you use is too big or too small, you can always make the image bigger or smaller, but there's a couple things that you need to be aware of. First of all, anytime you're resizing an image, I would recommend that you always use a corner handle. And if you take your mouse and move it on top of one of these corner handles and then click, hold, and drag inward, you can make it smaller proportionally, or if you wanted to make it a little bit bigger, you can make it bigger proportionally. But the thing is, you don't want to make it, you know, wider than it is, and make it so that, you know, the picture is blurry. You don't want that picture to be distorted. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in another slide. So we're going to go to another new slide. And then this time we want to put in the same two content type slide. And on this one, what we want to do is we want to type in the following text. And again, if you want to pause the video and look at the PDF just to get the text, that's fine. Or if you want to fast forward a little bit, but we want to come up here to the header box, and we want to turn on the caps. We want to type in Becca's signature salad. And then this time what we're going to do is we want to type the text over here on this one, because again, it kind of looks like we're going to set this up so that it'll loop over and over. Maybe if this is going to be like on a digital sign in a restaurant, maybe that's what this is for. So what we're going to do is we're going to type this text down here. We're going to turn off the bullet. And don't forget to turn off your caps lock if you need to. A Southwestern flavor, and lots of hearty ingredients, including barbecue chicken, diced tomatoes, cucumbers, red onion, roasted corn, green chili peppers, avocado. We'll take care of misspelled words here shortly. Grated cheddar cheese and cilantro. Comma, are what make this salad so tasty. The salad is tossed in a creamy ranch dressing and is finished with thin, crunchy tortilla strips. Price is $5.75. And it's kind of hard for me to type this with the way of my current setup, and I have to look down and look at my workbook and whatnot. So again, I'm not sitting at an actual desk. I'm sitting outside on my patio during this pandemic as I do this, and so again, I don't have the best setup, and of course there's a lot of us that are in the same boat that don't have the right setup. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to do is over here we're going to put in an image that kind of represents this, and so now we want to go back and use this instead of chopped salad. We want to maybe type in Southwest salad images, and you might find something that looks kind of like this that you might find at a maybe at a Mexican restaurant or something like that. So we'll just go with this one. And so again, I'm going to click on that. I want to right click it, and then again, this is where you're going to have to, I hate to say it, but you're just going to have to figure out the image part on your own, how to get it in there. You could either copy the image or you could save the image as, and if you're doing this on your Chromebook, you could save the image somewhere on your Chromebook. And then I'll show you how to get this in there in a second if you're using the Chromebook though. So I want to copy this image, and then I just want to click over here. I want to paste it in here, and then there's your image. And then you can make this bigger if you wanted to, and then you could drag it up. So there's a lot of things you can do. Now, by the way, if you couldn't copy and paste, and again, it kind of depends upon the device that you're using, you might have to go under Insert and then Pictures. And then you might have to, if you've been able to save an image to your Google Drive account, if you're doing this on that device, or maybe if you saved it to your OneDrive, or again, it just kind of depends on the device you're doing this on. You would click this, and then that would be how you would get the image in there. So again, depending on your device, you may not be able to copy and paste it the way I did. You may have to actually go save that image and then insert it using this method. Okay. Alright, so we got this image in there, and we actually want to come up here, and I forgot to tell you to center this up here, and that's fine. We could go ahead and do that after the fact. So I want to go back under the Home tab, and I want to click this alignment button and change this alignment to center. And in my particular case, when I do that, this picture is so big that it covers up part of the word salad. So I got a couple of options here. I could make this image a little bit smaller, and let me see if cropping is an image, if that is an option on here. If I come over here, click this image and click on picture, let's see if crop is an option. Well, I can change the picture. Okay, here's our crop button right here. And this particular image that I picked down here at the bottom, it's got a watermark on it of where this image came from, and I want to get rid of this watermark, this little bit of text down here. So what I want to do is to click this crop button, and I get these handles, these black handles, and what I want to do is I want to grab this crop button that's down here, and you got to get your mouse, if you're doing this, you got to get your mouse so that your arrow becomes a black handle, and then you just drag it up a little bit, and I'm going to drag it to about right there, and then I should be able to hit the enter key on my keyboard, or even click off, or click off the picture, and then it cuts that little bit off, and then I can drag this image down. And again, I just wanted to show you that so you'd see how to manipulate this. So that is it for slide 3. So for slide 4, what we want to do is, again, we want to insert a new slide, and we want to put in a to content. So we click add slide, and then we want to come up here to the title, and we want to put in the text Snowcrest Chicken Sandwich. So turn on caps, and of course we want to center this, and we want to put the text, again we're going to alternate this text, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the bullet, and we want to type in this sandwich, and I forgot to turn off my caps, this sandwich features a juicy, 7-ounce grilled chicken breast. Again, it's kind of hard to type under these circumstances on ciabatta bread, C-I-A-B-A-T-T-A, ciabatta bread with lettuce, vine ripened tomato, dill pickle chips, and red onion, served on the side. The sandwich comes with its own special mustard remoulade sauce. Price is $5.50. Now, by the way, you can tell this is an old textbook or workbook, because I think these prices would be a lot higher. Now, by the way, up here, because I put in 7 and then OZ followed by a period, when I did that, it thinks that this is a new sentence. So it automatically capitalizes the first letter of a new sentence. Well, we're going to have to manually go back and delete that and make that a lowercase. And I accidentally turned on this designer, and I'm going to just turn that off. But one other thing that kind of bothers me about this is the fact that the number 7 is on a different line than OZ. So what I want to do is just hit, now if I hit enter, you'll see how I get a bigger paragraph gap between the line above it and this line. So I actually want to back up. I'm going to hit the backspace key, but I believe you should be able to hit shift and enter. And if you hit shift and enter, that puts in what's called a line break, where you're not wanting a new paragraph, because generally you would want a little bit extra space between paragraphs in a PowerPoint presentation. But shift and enter would give you a line break, which is basically makes the text stop right there and forces a new line. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to go back to Google, and we want to find chicken sandwich. Now when you do this, now I love Chick-fil-A, and I've never been to Popeyes, and you're probably going to find images for them. But what we're going to do is we're going to maybe assume that, oh, this right here, I mean, again, we want to kind of get away from the restaurant sandwiches. I'm just going to pick this one right here. And I even see some bacon on this, but again, we just need a picture. It doesn't really matter which one. So I want to right click this, and on my computer I get the option to copy the image. You may have to save the image to your device if you're doing this on a Chromebook. I want to copy it, and I want to come over here. I want to paste. Right click and hit paste, and I'm just going to leave it right just like this. The size of this, it looks fine, and I'm not going to worry about changing that any. All right, so now that's all that we're going to put on this actual presentation. But the next thing that we want to do, if it'll let us on this, is, well, first of all, we want to save this. We have not saved this yet, and I really should have told you to do that on the when we did the very first slide. So what we want to do is we want to save this as Favorites Menu. So in the online version, if you come up here and just click up here, this is where you go to name it, and you want to save it as Favorites Menu, and the extension for PowerPoint is PPTX. And I'm just gonna, now you will have to change your location. You're gonna have to save this in the folder that you have shared with me, so you may have to click down here to get it saved in the correct folder, or and really you don't even have to do that, to be honest. You could save it because this has got a share button on it that you can click. So anyway, I just want to change hit the enter key to change the name of this, make it official. And then the next thing that I want to do is I actually want to add a transition. So if I come over here, now a transition is how one slide leaves and the next slide enters. Okay, and I think, if I remember correctly, you have to select all of the slides to add the transition. So if you hold down your control button and click each of these slides over here, or you can click on one, hold down the shift and hit the one on the bottom. So we did top and bottom. Then you would come up here under transitions, and you could pick one of these transitions. And I'm actually surprised that the online version of this has so many. I want to select dissolve, and the next thing that I want to do is I want to, actually, let me go ahead and show you what this looks like as of right now. If I hit the present button up here, so now what I want to do is, if I hit the enter key on my keyboard, or if I use my mouse to click, it's going to show the next slide. Now, when we get to the last slide and click, it takes us to the end of the presentation. So let me show you what happens if you set it up to add a loop. So if you go under slideshow, and again, let me just see if this is an option. It may not be an option on here, so let's see. Tell me what you want to do. I'm going to see if I can type in loop, and I bet you cannot. Loop until stopped. And again, it's kind of looking like, based upon what I'm seeing here, that is not a version, that's not something you can do in the online version. And that's perfectly okay. But what I was trying to show you is that what would happen in the looped version is that you would set it up, and that when it got to the end of the last slide, that it would loop and start over from the beginning. And again, if you've been into a restaurant, they may have something similar like this in the restaurant. And again, this is basically what they do. So again, as I kind of look under these, I don't see anything that indicates that I can loop this on the online version. So let me just show you this real quick. I want to click open in desktop app real quick. And if you are doing this on your personal computer, and I've got to click open. If you are doing this on a personal computer, you could come in and add this. And no, I don't want to give them my feedback right now. And I'll just show you what this looks like. It's pretty cool. You don't have to do this, but if you've got this, feel free to do so. So now if you go under slideshow, see how many more options you've got under here? So what you would want to do is, this is under, let's see here, set up slideshow. So you would click the setup slideshow button. And then over here under show options, you've got this option to loop continuously until escape. Okay. So I want to click OK. And then the other thing that I would have to do with this, I'd have to go back and add, I'd have to fix my transitions a little bit. So I'm going to come over here and I want to hold down my mouse button and click the fourth slide. That way I've got all of these slides selected. And what I want to do is I want to go back under transitions and see over here we've got this feature that we didn't previously have. And what we want to do is we want to change each of these slides under advanced slide. We don't want this to go on mouse click. We want each of these after about let's just say 15 seconds. So if I click this up until 15, what that's going to do is that it's going to cause these slides to change like every 15 seconds. And if you do this, if you're setting something up on a loop, you're going to want, especially if you've got this much text on here, you're going to want to leave enough time so that whatever text is on there can realistically be read. Now, by the way, notice that my file name is up here, and notice how on here autosave is set to on, because we saved this to the online version. We were using the online version of Microsoft PowerPoint. It was automatically saved to our OneDrive account, and because of that, we were able to the autosave feature is automatically turned on. So any changes that we make to this is going to be automatically saved. Now, if you're saving this to your desktop computer and you're not doing this on the online version, then it may not be set up to save automatically. So now what I want to do is I want to view my slideshow, and I would go under slideshow, and I would want to click from beginning. And you see how that earlier we added in that transition, and if you wait about another 10 seconds or so, you're going to see how this is going to automatically go to the next slide. As it just did. And again, if you were reading this, you'd want to be able to have time to read inspired classic chopped salad that is finely chopped artichoke hearts, roasted corn, garbanzo beans, diced tomato, cucumber, and fresh basil tossed in a homemade vinaigrette dressing. Price is $5.50. And then here, a southwestern flavor and lots of hearty ingredients, including barbecue chicken, diced tomatoes, cucumbers, red onion, roasted corn, green chili peppers, avocado, grated cheddar cheese, and cilantro are what make this salad so tasty. The salad is tossed in a creamy ranch dressing and is finished with, and see, I didn't even have enough time to finish reading all that. And so if you were actually doing this, 15 seconds might not be enough time. You might have to change that transition to like 20 seconds. But then you can go through, this doesn't have as much text on it. So when you get to the last slide, so again, you see how it automatically goes back to the first slide. That's what it means by loop until escape. And then I want to hit the escape feature to get out of that. And now what I want to do is I want to close this in the desktop version. And then on my computer, I need to close this out. Now, all of those things that we just added to this are still going to be on this file. These little stars that you see over here, these are your transitions that we just added. But let's take a look at this. And if I go to present, and notice how the animation, because we're reviewing this from the online version, we don't get that particular transition that we put on there. And we do own this one, and we do have the timing, so it doesn't really matter where the file is stored, but what's important is the version of the software that you've got to edit. So if you've got the desktop version of this, you'll still be able to do everything that we just did, but the looping and that had to be done using the desktop version. So let's see when we get to this last slide if it automatically loops over. And again, these are the kinds of things that you're learning in this. I know this lesson's a lot longer than the rest, but we're learning. Okay, and see how, because we played this using the online version, when it got to the end, that was the end of it. So that looping feature is not available unless you have unless you actually present this from that desktop version. So I clicked my mouse key to get out of this. So anyway, it just kind of depends. Again, there are going to be differences between the desktop version and the online version. And again, depending upon which one you're using, you may or may not be able to do that. So again, grade-wise, if it doesn't loop, that's fine. But if you are able to have the desktop version, set it up to make it loop, please do so. So again, that's the end of this lesson. I know it was a little bit longer than others, but there is quite a bit to explain in here. And when you're done, what you could do is you click the share button. And of course, you're going to want to get a link to edit, and you'll copy that link right here. And then this is what you will put in Canvas in the URL field. And if you've already saved this to your OneDrive account, and if you did this the way I told you from the beginning, this will be on your OneDrive account. There's no need to actually put it in a separate folder, because we're only talking about sharing this one file.